Is this one of the toughest tests of Dave Allen's career? Of course. If you're not in the sport for that, what are you in it for? And I think you can't really win. People have easy fights. Oh, who's he fighting? People have tough fights. Well, he shouldn't be in with him.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, good evening. Wherever you are, I'm Abs of October Red, and I'm joined by Mr. Matchroom CEO, Frank Smith. Welcome back.
How are you?
All right, I didn't think I was going to get you today because I like to stalk your socials. I've said this before. And then I saw an aeroplane from the UK to Ireland, and I was like, what is he doing now? Does he ever keep still?
No, no. Do you know what? I just came back. I actually had 3 days in Ibiza, and I just came back. I had a stag do. I'm the best man. And I arranged that, and I landed back last night, and now I'm in Dublin, and I'm going back home now. So yeah, busy times, but all good.
Definitely busy times. Frank, first of all, magnificent fight the other day out in Wolverhampton. Sam Eggington, Connor Walker, Tia, everyone that was on the card. Brilliant fight. It was, there wasn't a boring fight on the card. It was fully entertaining. Great to watch it live. Connor Walker, Sam Eggington, though, that was a proper to and fro. What is going on? Connor down on the cards. Eggington goes down. Well, you know what it is. Crazy.
Unbelievable. They're the kind of fights we want to see. Look, and it was everything we said it would be. It was exactly what we named it. It was in, the trenches. And from the first round, they did not stop. Huge respect to Sam Eggington and to Connor Walker, who just never gives up, does he? What a fight. What a fight and what an atmosphere. Great venue, actually, as well. And yeah, just one of those brilliant nights of boxing from top to bottom. Great to see, great win for Bilal Fawaz as well in a great fight against Ryan Kelly. Again, credit to him because he kept on coming. Shannon Ryan, a brilliant win. TMA Ayton looked brilliant on the card as well. Harley Burrows debut. So many great fighters on the card. So yeah, what a night back in Wolverhampton.
Yeah, massive congratulations to Harley Burrows. I actually spoke to him before the fight. He told me about his amateur career. So I knew that he wanted to go in there and get that knockout. I think he got a knockdown early. But obviously it was his debut. What did you make of his performance? I think he might have been a little bit nervous, but what did you think?
Yeah, I feel like he knows he could look better, but you know, I think in those situations you put so much pressure on yourself. He's a kid still as well. You have to remember. And it's like that moment means so much to him, and he's got all that pressure. I think loading up with shots and just trying to go for it too much, but that will come with the experience. And it was a good way to kick it off, and you're going to continue to see a lot of improvements from him, and he's going to be very entertaining. He's going to be knocking people out for fun.
Yeah, he definitely had a lot of supporters there. So they were definitely there supporting his debut, which I will say, congratulations to him. But we're going to move forward because you've got another fight this week. We're going to go a little bit backwards and forwards, but I want to speak to you about Dave Allen going in with Philip Hergovich. I'm rubbish at predictions, Frank. I've stopped doing them because I keep getting them wrong. Um, I mean, what do you think about this fight for Dave? It's risky, isn't it, with Hergovich? But how much was taken out of Hergovich with the Dubois fight? And it's like, oh, we're here again. Nobody knows.
Yeah, look, we're in a sport where people are written off left, right, and centre. Don't get me wrong. Is this one of the toughest tests of Dave Allen's career? Of course, but is this what Dave Allen needs to bring out the best in him? Yes. He needs a fight against someone who I don't know whether scared is the right word. Probably scared in my world, but not in a boxer's world, but their mentality. Needs someone who he can get up for, and really go in there and give it his all. Look, Dave Allen has been in there inside the ring, both professionally and in training, against the best fighters in the sport. And I think an applied Dave Allen, someone who's put all the effort into camp and training, can cause, difficulty for a lot of fighters. Is it a hard ask? Yes, of course it is. Filip Hrgović ranked number 5 heavyweight in the world right now. But if you're not in the sport for that, what are you in it for? So like it's gonna be a great night of boxing. He gets to headline at his home stadium in Doncaster, a dream he's had for a long time. And he's gonna go in there and give it everything in that fight. But it's a tough night. But that's what we should be in the sport for, shouldn't we? And I think you can't really win. People have easy fights. Oh, who's he fighting? People have tough fights. Well, he shouldn't be in with him. It's like, well, what one do you want? You can't win on that side. But yeah, Dave knows what he's going in there against. And like, in the pictures you've seen of Dave, he hasn't ever been in a shape like it. He applied himself for the Makhmudov fight, unlike any other fight, and I think for this fight, he's applied himself. And I think his love for the sport is there more than ever as well. And look, I was always honest, like 3, 4 years ago, maybe, whatever the time period was. I don't think Dave should have been in the sport still because he didn't apply himself to it. You know, that was always my honest opinion back then. But to see what he's come back to do and the position he put himself in, he deserves every bit of it. You know,
Do you think we've got this? I don't know. We seem to have this kind of myth around fighters where it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And we tend to sit on this fence, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, Frank. I can sit here as a fan and say I'm either one way or the other, or I'll switch another way. And there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to the way us boxing fans think. It's very fickle, it's very unpredictable, and I think sometimes it just depends on what day we get, how we get out of bed on that day.
good win. Like Daniel Dubois was finished when he got beat by Joe Joyce all those years ago, and he's a two-time heavyweight champion of the world. Like so. I don't read into it too much. It's what makes the sport great at the same time is that people have opinions, people have views, and this person's useless, this person's great. It's like just take every fight by fight, have your opinion on it, and get ready to get, upset or get ready to be proven wrong. And then, again, isn't that why we love the sport? Isn't that why we love any sport? Because anything can happen.
Yeah, we do like the unpredictability. And I've got to say, talking about unpredictability, let's just go back to Saturday night. As you know, I was one of these that was happy, confident within myself that Ben Whittaker should have fought David Morrell Jr. I just was. I was like, yep, let's have that fight. Obviously, he got postponed due to the injury with Callum Smith. So I do want to ask you what happens with that now, because allegedly it was ordered. But let's just go to Zach Chelli and obviously ending up stopping Morrell. Did you watch the fight? What were your thoughts? And were you thinking, damn, maybe I could have done that with Ben?
I didn't watch the fight. I was getting messages throughout going, "Oh my
I bet
goodness,
you was.
this!" And then obviously when he stopped him, but it also just shows styles make fights, times make fight. Like David Morrell's, but like look at Benavidez, like his knockout ratio couldn't do that to like boxing's just a crazy sport, isn't it? So like you can look at any and go that could then. And by the way, we all thought David Morrell, we all thought that there was no way, and no disrespect to Zach Chelli, but when you look at David Morrell's, you know, boxing skill and who he's been in with, and the challenge he's given people, and you look at especially at Benavidez and what he's done, and like where all the where the world's view on him is right now, like I mean it's crazy. But again, what a sport and what a moment, and it changes Zach Chelli's life. For David Morrell, obviously Gustavo from the WBO came out, and I believe now they'll probably order following Bivol's fight against for the IBF. I believe they'll probably order the fight between Bivol and Callum Smith. To obviously between the interim champion and the full world champion. Let's see. But that's just my thought right now. I'm sure Morrell will be kicking himself.
You know when how does it work? Because there's obviously fights that are like ordered or fights. The only reason why I'm going back to this is quickly just the thing with Callum Simpson and Troy Williamson. Callum Simpson out with injury. I understand it was a fight there was a signed rematch. I understand all of that, but he wasn't allowed to take that fight just because Callum Simpson's injured. So when Morrell, obviously not the same contract or whatever it is, but Morrell took a fight, were you guys all right with him taking that fight in between while Callum Smith just sits out the injury because it's ordered, but it's not, well, it is contracted. That's the only thing confused.
Every contract would have different terms. For example, without giving details away, the Callum Smith Troy Williamson fight would have what you call a force majeure clause of a delay period of up to, X days, right, where the fight can be rearranged. If it can't be rearranged within that window, then essentially there's no contract, right? The Callum Smith, David Morrell fight, we, due to Callum's injury on the contract we had, couldn't have rescheduled it within the time period because of the injury that was in that contract. So essentially, that contract is then void, essentially, in the most basic terms. So then David Morrell was free to do what he wanted. He would then still have been, had he won, the ordered fight for Callum Smith. So that fight would have happened had he won in X month, but the old contract would have run out, if that makes sense.
Nah, yeah, it does. So thank you. It still is in relation to contracts, but just the specifications in the contract would have been
Everyone's different, basically.
Thank you for putting that there. I've got to go up to, because I know we're limited on time, and I have got a couple of questions from people on Twitter, as I do put out my shopping list for you. The main event with Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois. Obviously, Fabio being your fighter, your ex-fighter, but you've worked with him for years. What did you think of the fight? There's a lot of controversy around should it have been stopped? Is he too much of a hero for his own good? The little coaches tit-tatting with each other. But just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, again, I didn't watch the fight. I was away, and I don't get much time away from boxing, so I didn't manage to catch it. I saw clips of it. I saw opinions from different people, and I also saw what Ben Davison put out, which is completely right. Which is like he's labelled a hero for keeping Lee Wood in a fight, or he's labelled a hero for keeping this. Again, we're in a business where everyone has an opinion, and you know, it's easy to sit there and say, "I would have done this, I would have done that." Well, you haven't been in camp with them the whole time. You don't deal with the personality who's going, "Do not pull me out of this fight," you know. And it's easy for someone to judge a referee. You know, none of us are, well, for the most part, none of us are referees, and sit here and go watching it on TV from the comfort of your home. And this is people's livelihoods. And could he have knocked him out? Yes, of course he could. I'm not saying, again, I haven't watched the fight to watch in detail to give it, but I think it's so easy to have a view against all these different people when on one day they're heroes by letting a fighter continue, and then the fighter wins, and then on this one, oh no, it's a joke. So I think we're all, again, but we're all allowed our opinion, aren't we? Doesn't And the truth is, the only people's opinions that really matter are the referee who makes a decision and the corner team who have the relationship with the fighters. Because no one outside of those group of people, really can say anything, because it doesn't matter what you can have your views, but it doesn't matter what you think. So yeah, I think it's always easy in hindsight to have an opinion.
Anthony Joshua fighting Christian Prenga, a fighter that I hadn't heard of before. I've spoke to a couple of coaches now, one being Peter Fury, one being Jamie Moore, and they're kind of like of the opinion, and I've asked them to put me in my place because I am a fan first, to like just paint some sense on why he would fight him to prepare for Fury. That's the tunnel vision that I've got. They've said, look, obviously circumstances, he wants to get back in the ring, a warm-up. Jamie Moore said a warm-up with anyone would do, but they can understand why he chose this opponent. And Peter Fury is sort of on the same page. But with me, I thought, Anthony Joshua, I believe in him that much. I thought, yeah, just throw him in there with Wilder. He'd probably dispatch Wilder. And then that's the real preparation for somebody like Fury. But you're the guys behind the business. You're the ones that make these decisions. What was the business decision around that fight? And put me in my place, Frank, because sometimes I need it too.
I think also you have to factor in the training team and the people around him as to what's best for him, having been through what he's been through. And there's not just the pressures of the fight, there's the pressures of the meet, the things that come with a Wilder fight compared to, everything's different. And although he's dealt with all that, you want to put him in the best possible position for that Fury fight at the end of the year as well. So that's all taken into account when making these decisions of these fights, and the right type of opponent. and that's where the training team come in and they put forward the names that they want to see.
Yeah, fair enough. And thank you for putting me in my place. Because, like I said, sometimes I'm just like, oh, why has that happened? It just doesn't make sense in my brain. And it's like, you do have to explain it to me. Maybe it's because I don't know, I live in this fantasy world where I just believe he could beat up probably anybody that's put in front of him. But he has this mental battle, this to and fro in that he may have with himself. He's an overthinker. I get it. I'm a bit of one myself, hence me asking the same question 7,000 times before I'll be satisfied with an answer. But I know you're very pragmatic. Right. Okay. So, Pacheco, I've got Boxy Old Pats on Twitter. Is Pacheco fighting on a Golden Boy show next week? And will he be leaving Matchroom after that?
No, he's not. He might be talking about his brother, Fed Pacheco.
Okay.
No, there you go. We're working on his next fight now.
Awesome. Josh Kelly versus Kievan Ajarko next.
That's what we're planning on. Just trying to finalize it now.
Okay. And I think you've answered the question around Callum Smith. Basic Kid says, what are the plans for Sky Nicholson moving forward, considering Ellie Scottney is moving up in weight?
Yeah, so she'll obviously fight for that vacant belt now, maybe some of the other belts that have been vacated. And big opportunities there, big fights to be made. You know, it's a shame. It would have been a great fight. But obviously, look, I understand Ellie's been there a long time, and you know, I think there was always part of her that was looking at that and the team around her. And wish her all the best.
Okay, WBC Advocate says, when will we get announcement for August and September cards? Also, I think it goes over to back to Diego Pacheco and Sugar Nunes. What's next for them?
So obviously Diego we covered, Sugar a comeback fight for him we're working on now, and then August, September we're working through. Obviously the plan was always to be a little bit quieter in July due to the World Cup. You know, you've obviously got July 25th. But yeah, we've got multiple calls this week about that next schedule.
Yeah, and I've seen you've obviously announced Crocker and is it Pero? Paro? Why do I pronounce the names wrong? I don't know. LSD Box says, please could you ask if Matchroom did anything for Glenn Byrne, who got dropped by Crawler last month and suffered a brain bleed, which obviously led to his subsequent retirement. Have Matchroom had any input in help with that?
Eddie actually met him a couple of weeks back. He saw him in Dublin, you know, him and Jay as well, and spent some time with them and had a good conversation. So yeah, we got very good relationships with him, very good, and wish him all the best. And we'll definitely keep, working with them as much as we can, especially if we get this big Katie Taylor fight made as well, and ensure we can be as supportive as we can around him post his boxing career, and wish him all the best, as I say.
What's going to happen with Katie? Have you got any ideas on potential opponents, or are you just going to keep that under wraps until everything's signed, sealed, and delivered?
The focus right now is to try and get the dream done, which is Croke Park. And then we'll work through that bit. That's very much why I'm here now. I'm actually in Dublin now, just about to fly back. But yeah, get that done, and then we go from there.
It would be so nice if Tia May Aiton's on that card as well, sort of like a torch passing ceremony from one fighter to another. But that's me. I'm a little bit sentimental like that.
Let's see.
Let's see. Right, Andy White, and this is kind of one of the questions that I'd probably ask as well. How is the dynamic with Queensberry working since they decided to potentially take Riyadh season Turki Al Sheikh to court, legal letters, etc.? Is it strange because Matchroom are still working with them? I see cracks developing.
No, look, we have a good relationship with Queensberry, which obviously started a couple of years back now, or 18 months ago now. Their situation that they have ongoing is, doesn't bring us into the mix, doesn't change anything between us. And we don't really get involved in that at all. We've obviously got the fight this weekend where Dave Allen's fighting on the Queensberry card. You've got Taylor Bevins fighting in a few weeks' time on the undercard in Southampton as well. So the relationship's very good there. We're in good terms with them. But yeah, when it comes to that matter, it's not really any of our business.
Fair enough. Listen, there were more questions, but I know you got a dart off. I will see you probably Sheffield on it's Galal that's taking the headline now, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, So we will catch up then. But Frank, thank you because I know you're busy. And
All
I'll
right,
see
I'm
you.
glad I could get on.
Yeah, but you know me, I'll probably stalk you in between now and then anyway.
All right,
So
all
take
good.
care. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Frank Smith.